edit.
Great to meet you, and you know, my goodness, Pixar, I just wait with bated breath whenever a new Pixar film or short comes out, because I just love it so much. And what is just so amazing, as I was just telling you off camera, is that with each year, with each film, it just gets sharper and better and better. It must be like a dream for you animators to be able to have this kind of technology and equipment to make them look so phenomenal.
It is, yeah. And you know, even more than that, the technology only gets you so far. It's the artistry of the individuals, and that's the real joy of getting to work with people that are so talented in what they do and such a treat to work with. And I think that's what I've learned in directing as well, is, you know, my job is to inspire these amazing artists in why we're making this, what's the characters, you know, situation, and what are my hopes and dreams for it, and then let them kind of do their thing.
Yeah.
And it's amazing, just the quality of work and the willingness to, like, a lot of people, when I pitched this idea, a lot of people laughed at the audacity of the scope.
Really?
Because there's so many effects, you know, and the scale. But the folks that I actually got on my team were like, let's do it. And there was never, no, we can't do that. It's always, all right, we can do this. Let's figure this out.
Right.
You know, as long as we know what we want, you know, we know what we're trying to achieve, let's go for it.
Right. And I can imagine that everybody, including yourself, just wants to be pushed. You know,
Yes.
You don't want to go do what you did the last time. You want to do something better, right?
And I think that's where John Lasseter's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, as a lead, and John's a really good friend of mine, and I know him really well personally, but this is probably, and I've worked on you know, almost all of his films.
That's a pretty good track record.
It's a pretty good track record. But he's just such a wonderful leader, because what makes him so great as a director also makes him great as a studio head, in that he wants what you're going to bring to it. He wants Jim Murphy. I want Jim Murphy up on that screen, and he's really great at pushing you through the challenges and kind of calling you out on, like, come on, you know, this next scale. Like, scale was one thing he was really pushing on. So, yeah, it's just phenomenal.
Very cool. Okay, this is just unbelievably adorable. Okay, I've been singing the song over and over. I can't stop singing it. We'll get to the song in a second, but tell me about the origins of this, because it's unique. You were on your honeymoon, and that's where it kind of started, right?
Yeah, you know, I grew up in Detroit, and for whatever reason, I've always had this fascination with islands, and particularly the Hawaiian Islands. You know, I can't believe what they're in the middle of nowhere. They're so beautiful, and this, you know, just like I've just been fascinated by it. Then when I got married 25 years ago, my wife and I honeymooned on the Big Island, and that's what just completely captivated me, by seeing it in person, you know, seeing the culture, and just totally getting inspired by that.
Yeah.
But also seeing a live volcano in person and realizing that, wow, this is actually happening on Earth. I thought it was just something you see on a National Geographic documentary, that I didn't think this really happened. So it really kind of came from that. And about 10 years ago, I heard Israel Kamakawiwo'ole's version of Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
Oh, God, it's the best.
It's the best. And it's one of my favorite songs, too, because that song's from The Wizard of Oz. Yeah. And it's a great song, because it's a song of hope that Dorothy sings. But then to hear it sung acoustically with such raw emotion, I just was like, oh my God, who is that? And I never forgot that. So when it came time to really start thinking about ideas, I had this Hawaii thing going, this volcano, and this song thing. I was like, you know what? What if I could write a song that made me feel like I did the first time I heard Israel Kamakawiwo'ole sing that song, and feature it in a Pixar short? So that's what I set out to do. You know, and as I developed the story, I was writing the song at the same time, and you know, kind of they went hand in hand. And whenever I pitched, I always sang the entire song.
With the ukulele, yeah. And so your main volcano star is Uku, right? Is that
Uku?
Uku. Okay, it's hard to, Uku, because it's ukulele, right? But it's Uku. And he's adorable. He's so cute. Like, who would ever think that a volcano would be cute, right?
Yeah.
But he's so adorable. And I'm looking at his face, and he's looking familiar to me. Who did you kind of base him on a little bit?
You know, there were a lot of influences. We looked at Israel Kamakawiwo'ole, you know, in his face and his spirit. Yeah. Like, he's just so charming. We looked at Kuana, Torres, Kahele, who's the singer. We looked at his face a lot. I also looked at Jackie Gleason, because Jackie Gleason is an incredible actor with his face. Where he's kind of got these squinty eyes, but then he'll pop his eyes real open, and I use that a lot with Uku. So he kind of have the squinty eyes, but like when he sees her for the first time, he's like. And I also love Chuck Jones' Feed the Kitty, and if you look at that cartoon, my favorite thing about that cartoon is that all the humor comes from the emotional moments between the characters. That is not played for gags or for laughs. It's played for emotion. And then the gags or the laughs come from that, but it's played for emotion. But if you look at Mark Anthony, who's the bulldog character, in his close-ups, he is a volcano. Like just the shape of his head and that the facial expressions are so rich and emotive that was another big inspiration. Like if we could capture the appeal and the charm of that type of a character, but then keep him really made out of stone and rock and not fleshy at all.
Right, and then the female,
Female?
Yeah,
so female Lele, we really looked a lot at Napua, who's the voice of Lele. And with her design, too, because she's underwater reaching up, we kept her really tall and skinny and with long flowing hair, and then with Uku, to kind of keep him more of the stature of like very Polynesian.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we were saying that she looked like she could be hot-tempered.
Yeah, exactly. Like any volcano would.
Exactly. Right? That's our point. Even with the first second when I saw this, and it just goes into the lush greenery and the dolphins and. First of all, tourism in Hawaii going to go way up after people see this. There's no question. But my God, I couldn't stop gasping at just even the first 2-3 seconds of this. Do you ever kind of pinch yourself and go, "Wow, look what I've done"? Because seriously, you should be proud of yourself.
I do because I set out. This was definitely a passion of mine that turned into an obsession. Where I just devoured so much imagery and videos and so much on all this stuff. And again, that's my job as a director, is to then use that reference to explain to the other artists as they come on what we're trying to achieve. And I really wanted that feeling of like when you're flying to a place like Hawaii and you see it from the airplane and you go, "Oh my God, that's where we're going, that's where we're going." Or if you get off the plane and you get that hit of air for the first time. Or did you ever do Soaring Over California?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I have.
And when you're like you go up to that and you go over to Lake Tahoe, and you almost like pull your legs up. Like I wanted that feeling when you come over his arm and go into the cove, that you're like, "Oh my God, look what's down there.
Yeah.
What's going on?" And we can do that in our medium. And I wanted to create characters in this film that were also appealing as a place.
Right.
So that after seeing it, you would go, "I want to go visit there. When can I go visit there?"
Yeah, and that's exactly what I think is going to happen. How do you, when you think back on, you've worked on so many amazing Pixar films, as you said, like, oh my God, my favorite, like Nemo for me is still my all-time favorite. Just love that, but they just keep getting better and better. And you must just learn from each one and grow with each one that you've done.
And I've learned a lot from, I think all the directors are the best in the business, and probably the best in the history of animation. Some of the best. And I think I've had the incredible luxury of watching John Lasseter work, or being inspired by Brad Bird or Pete Docter, and then now directing myself, I've taken a little bit from every one of those guys on how they lead their charge and how they deal with difficult story situations or different things like that. So I think I've had a front row seat on a lot of great directors. That
very lucky.
I'm very lucky.
Very amazing. Quickly, so this is going to open in the beginning of Inside Out, which is what we're going to see next June.
Correct.
Can you just tell us really briefly what Inside Out is about?
Yeah, Inside Out is about a little girl whose family, she's a hockey player. Her family moves from Minnesota to San Francisco, and it's her dealing with the emotion of the trauma of that move, and all the characters are her emotions, and it takes place inside of her mind.
Wow.
It's fantastic.
And it'll probably make us cry within the first 3 minutes, I would think. Yeah, just like Up did. Yeah, thanks.
Exactly. And that's but like cry in a very genuine way, because the emotions are earned and very genuine and legitimate.